Folks, they talk about living every day as if it's your last. And we think about it, and we wish we could. It sounds like a good idea. What if you had to? What if you knew that it just might be? That's pressure. And it has purpose, and that's coming up next. Nate Shultz, our guest next. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Purpose Under Pressure, sharing stories of purpose and the storms that rise that threaten to knock us off course. But before we get into the show today, I'm so excited to share with you that Purpose Under Pressure is now brought to you by the Ruby Group Sandler Training in Ohio, serving Ohio local small, medium-sized, large businesses and their sales efforts. And I'm excited that they are partnering with this show because this show is about purpose. I've known these guys for a long time. The sales world is full of pressure, but they bring purpose to it and help their customers understand that the services that they offer are the services their customers need. And so that takes skill, and these guys know what they're doing, and it fits. So if you have any questions about them, we'll talk about them a little more later. Right now, I'm Brian Lefelock. I'm glad you're here. Let's turn it up. Our guest today, again, another disclaimer, is a friend, a longtime friend of mine, one of my best good friends. And he's also the managing partner of Spreng Smith Insurance in Ashland, and they're my insurance agency. So I'm going to let all get the disclaimers out of the way. But I promise you that when you meet my friend Nate Shultz, you'll understand a different idea of purpose, and you'll see how it affects the way you see life moving forward. So I'm excited to share his story, and here he is. Welcome, Nate Shultz, to Purpose Under Pressure.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nate, and thank you very much for sharing the story. You and I have known each other for a long time. Our kids grew up together. You've helped me out of 100,000 jams as my insurance provider, and I appreciate that. But you've lived a life, and you've served a lot of people, and you've been served by a lot of people, and there's a lot of pressure. And we're going to talk about that. Before we do, can you share with me a little bit about Spreng Smith? You're managing partner there at Spreng Smith. You're an independent insurance provider, and you're doing great things. Can you share with me a little bit about what you're proudest of there and what you're accomplishing there?
Spreng Smith Agency is a independent insurance agent, represent literally dozens of insurance companies. And so we're always trying to find the best match for our clients with the right carrier and the right products and all that kind of stuff. Very excited about the growth that we're experiencing this year. We're growing quite a bit. Best year since Rob Wash and I have bought out the agency when it comes to growth. That was going back to 2016. We've got some young producers, or we're getting younger. So that's exciting as I'm transitioning from being one of the young guys to one of the old timers.
I like the way you put that.
Yeah. And so it happens really fast.
Getting older is now called transitioning. I get it.
That's right. Evolving. Right.
That's fine.
Yeah. So really excited, and it brings a new energy to our office to have the younger folks coming in and getting to kind of switch over to more of a mentoring role in some ways. Yeah.
And Nate, one of the things you shared with me a while back when we were talking over coffee at one point, and insurance is insurance, right? And that's the way I kind of looked at it. It's like, insurance. What is that? How is that fun? How is that interesting? How do you do that? And it was my perception of it. But you shared with me how much it means to you to be able to serve people and kind of what your purpose is as a person, not just about insurance, but taking care of people. Can you kind of share that story with our audience a little bit about why you feel insurance sales is so important, insurance provision is so important for people?
Yeah. I think when you use the word sales, that's like a term.
That's the problem,
especially
right?
with insurance. People are, he's trying to sell me something. But really, if we take more of a posture as a consultant with people, and trying to help them navigate. There's good stuff and there's bad stuff about our industry, but help them find the best solution in a more of a consulting role than a sales role, and not to really focus on how much revenue we're going to get from a certain customer or prospective customer, but really focus on meeting their needs. I just look at it as some people will chuckle at this, but like a noble profession in a way, because it is helping people prepare for and walk through some of the hardest moments in their life, whether that be a life insurance claim, whether you're buying the policy to prepare for it, or when we're delivering the the check for that. Someone has a fire or a bad accident. We get calls from accident scenes with people crying and saying, I don't know what to do, and I thought I'd call you first, even before their family sometimes. And so that helps you get out of bed in the morning, knowing that there can be pressure, there can be stress with all of that, but certainly there's a purpose and a role that we play in people's lives that, definitely our industry is underappreciated, and there are people that are, different levels of honesty and all that ethics and all those
in
kind of
every
things.
industry, sure.
In every industry, really. But, there's a lot of good that's able to be done in helping people.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this show is about, too, is it's about, we wake up every single day. You mentioned transitioning from young to old. This is a long life we live. Like these are many years on this earth, and we do the same thing every single day. And why do we do it? Why do we swing our feet out of bed and put them on the floor? Well, there's been many times where I've been in trouble, not many, but a few at least, and I've been able to call you, and you've been able to take care of me, and I just think that's an amazing opportunity for you to step into someone's life and make a difference. And congratulations to you and to others like you that do the same thing and get snickered at every once in a while. You're an insurance agent, because it's just not fair, I think. So
yeah, I agree with that. I still remember listening to, it was probably cassette tapes back in the day, but
you're not that old.
Listening to some sales stuff, but Zig Ziglar, listened to some of his stuff way back, and there's a quote from him, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like, if you just help enough people every day, you'll get everything out of life that you'll want. And so that's always stuck with me, and it's always like, okay, just get in there and just start helping people. And it works really well when you're in the service industry, that, you're going to be successful if you're just trying to help as many people as you can in whatever way they need helped. So
that's right. And many people can learn many things from that, in whatever industry they're in. So thanks for sharing that. And so let's get into the show. Let's talk about purpose, and let's talk about pressures that rise. And I know you are purpose driven. I know you as a fierce family man, a loving husband, a great friend. But you've gone through some storms, and you've weathered some things, and I'm not going to try to tell that story. I'd like you to share some things that have caused you to bone up on your purpose, so that you can get through some tough times. If you don't mind sharing, Nate, the floor is yours.
Sure. So going back to 2016, Rob and I bought the agency and took on a fair amount of debt, and so you had the pressure of that to, all right, let's try to make this continue to succeed. Very successful agency leading up to that point, but we wanted to keep it going and hopefully take things to another level. And
did
so
you?
that was 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You know what? I have a question then, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick, because you had already said it's not about revenue. It's not about making money and everything. And all of a sudden, right off the bat, you're in big time debt. So do you sacrifice some of your purpose to try to pay off a little bit of that and make a little bit more, or do you stick to your purpose and do it right?
Yeah, I think stick to the purpose. That's never become too much of a because we've been able to continue to grow through the philosophy of just helping people. And I'm trying to think about any of the pressure. I don't feel like there was ever any sacrifice. I mean, we structured the debt payments in a way that we felt it would be reasonable. It would take enough time to be able to cash flow the debt payments and things like that. Okay. So that as long as we were growing, we wouldn't have to feel that strain too much. And so we've been able to do that. And so I think that was helpful in not having to sacrifice.
Excellent. Good. Yeah. You do it right the first place, and the storm gets lighter on the other side. Right. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. So that was 2016. So that was a whole new level of, okay, what have we gotten ourselves into? But overall felt really good about it and the opportunity. And then fast forward in the next year in 2017 in the fall, my wife Jen got an unfortunate diagnosis of a terminal type of cancer, and really didn't know how much time we would have together at that point. And they said could be months, maybe a year or two, if things go really well and there's things we can do to treat. but the diagnosis did not look very good, and we were determined to do whatever we could through prayer or medical advancements that we would do everything that we could to fight it, to extend life as here as long as we could, and there was a lot of pressure on that. We ended up spending a few months in Houston, trying to get a kind of a cutting edge medical treatment for her. We spent a few weeks in Pittsburgh, and at the same time trying to work remote. And this is then ended up doing this for 4 years, fighting this battle. So that takes us through COVID. And so, the unfortunate thing is right before we went to Houston for a few months, that was during the COVID, kind of the peak of the COVID crisis, and so we took, from the office standpoint, we had to figure out to pivot to people's be able to work remotely, and so that was something so I could work remotely still and get the medical care down there that we needed at that time. So there was a kind of some things that were converging together that were all hard at the same time, but also, from a technological standpoint, made it possible that we could do that. And
Nate,
just to kind of give a little background, were you going to ask a question?
Well, I'm interested in maybe walk us through this a little bit, because you mentioned that you had just purchased you just purchased things and stepped in, and then this happened.
Yeah.
And you were hoping for months. And I want to make sure we don't gloss over the fact that 4 years later, you're still showing purpose and you're still weathering the storm. And so that is amazing news and wonderful. But is it adding more pressure to the work environment, or are you figuring out a way to manage your life and work balance? Life comes first, but how is that going for you during this stage?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say the first 6 months, there was just so much uncertainty. And that was probably the hardest time as far as the pressure. And that was before, going to Houston or Pittsburgh or any of those things. That was just, chemotherapy every couple weeks and hoping and praying that would be, helpful. And first 6 months, she felt pretty crummy. And then the cancer started to shrink. And we started to get into a routine, although, deep down, that uncertainty continued throughout the whole process. And we both knew that and had to kind of carry that, the weight of the uncertainty. But as the cancer started to shrink, after 6 months, she started to feel better. Quality of life got better. Yeah. And then we had 3 years where she felt pretty good. She had to go get treatments every couple weeks and tolerated them very well. And we got kind of able to live a normal life with work. And a lot of people would come up to me and say, or talk on the phone and say, "Oh, I saw your wife. She looks so good. She beat that, didn't she?" And it's like, well, she's still battling, but yeah, she's doing really great. Yeah. And so, I mean, she looked so well around the community that a lot of people thought that was no longer an issue for us. But yeah, it was still, something that was a daily thing that we had to communicate and live with and try to live as normally as we could.
And Nate, if you don't mind sharing, just because I feel like I want to hear it too. Tell me a little bit about Jen's purpose through this and the way she fought through this battle. Just kind of shine a little light on, was she able to help you? It can't be easy for her. Was she able to help others? I know that's what she cared about. I'm just interested in her perspective over those years.
Yeah, she really spent those years investing in other people, her friends, and she wasn't, working in a job at that point. And the kids were college and late high school. And so they weren't quite as demanding on her time. And so she spent a lot of time investing during the day with friends and obviously for the kids and our family in the evenings and just really wanted to, I would say it was for both of us. We really felt a new sense of like living each day like this, like it's your last, and we wanted to just fully live into each day because there was this new uncertainty that we didn't really know when things could go south. And so, I continue to hold that. And I think, she and I both kind of shared that, discussed that like, okay, we're going to kind of take a go for it mentality on everything.
Say on the rule, only decision makers can get other people to make decisions. Each and every day, we have a decision to make. Also, when we're with buyers in our sales process, we have a decision to make how we're going to lead that interaction. And if I'm somebody that can make daily commitments and keep those daily commitments, then when I'm with buyers, I expect them to make commitments and keep those commitments to me throughout that sales process. So first and foremost, I have to have a decided heart in order to lead other people to make the decisions that I'm expecting them to make.
Nate, what's that like? Share with us what it's like to live your life as if it's your last day. We hear songs about it, we think about it, we wish we would do it, but we don't. And you did. What's that like?
I don't know. I mean, I just, just being willing to kind of wear yourself out and get to the end of the day and go, I laid it all out there today,
Yeah.
And some days it feels good and some days you feel exhausted and like, I don't know if I can do that tomorrow, but you go to bed and you get up and just the window, it just changes the window. And part of it's aging too. Like you just see, notice that you're in the second half of your life, no matter if you live to a normal life expectancy or sooner. But, so that's part of it's just aging as well. But that definitely put it into like overdrive as far as our mentality together to just, take advantage of every opportunity that we have to love our kids or work hard, just try to do everything to the best of your ability,
And so COVID is raging and the world is changing and all the things are happening. How's business during this time? This is a business podcast, and I'm interested in how you're weathering the storm of all these things in your life and holding purpose towards what you're doing.
Yeah. I guess taking that mentality to the business as well and just, working hard. We have a great team here that's been, it's not a brag on me, it's a brag on this team of how they all pulled together. We didn't lose any employees all through that season, other than to retirement, like normal retirement.
Yeah.
And we've been able to attract and retain new younger employees that are coming in to start their careers and that's the thing we talk about in our industry groups that we attend. This is one of the biggest challenges, not just for our industry, but all employers. How do you find and can't find good people? I talk to our commercial customers every day. Can't find any good people. I can't find any good truck drivers or, contractor, workers in the field and all that stuff. So it goes across all industries. And so, we've really been blessed that we've been able to attract and retain, employees. And I think that's a testament to the culture that, not that I've created. It's a culture that we have good people to start with at the core, and they, are supportive of each other.
And that's one of the lessons that I hope people can take from this, is that when the storms rise, we can't do it on our own, right? We've got to take care of things we've got to take care of. We've got to call in some reinforcements. We've got to trust the people around us, the friends and the family and your coworkers and employees, and allow them to pick up some of the slack. I know you're a driven businessman as well, but to be able to pass it on and allow yourself to work on the things that you're working on probably made the company stronger, and maybe even helped you be more present.
Right. Yeah. And trust them that they can do the job and don't need to be micromanaged and that type of thing too.
So let's the storm is still raging at home, and you're having some good years and doing well, and let's go ahead and kind of finish the story and share how your purpose continued to shine through even though the storm didn't let up.
Yeah. Let's see. So we were in Houston. Late in 2020, the cancer started to grow again, and they basically said that treatment option wasn't going to be viable anymore. And so we decided to go ahead and get back to Ohio and continue some other treatment options through Ohio State, which is where was kind of the main area where she got treatment throughout those years. And so that was after 3.5 years, and then things started to kind of get crummy again. She started to feel worse, and things started to deteriorate. And so that was a really, really hard 6 months from early 2021 to when Jen went to be with the Lord in August of last year. And so again, there was a lot of additional challenges with continuing to maintain business and keep up with everything, and also be available and a good husband and father, and balance all those things out. And again, the team here at the office was incredibly gracious and supportive, and very, very grateful for all of them that made it possible for me to be able to be there be at home when I needed to be, and here when when I was able to. So yeah.
And Nate, I'm so sorry for your loss, and of course that Jen was a friend of mine too, and the thing that I want to hear from you, if you don't mind sharing, that purpose that you brought to that fight, that you could argue you lost but you won, right? Depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
How does your purpose impact your business world and your personal world? What's the common denominator that allows you to do things right and to be where you need to be at the right times, and to be present and to be part of the people's lives who need you? What is that common denominator, do you feel like, in your world?
I think the whole experience just gave a new perspective. I mean, we've already kind of touched on it, but it just changes your mentality of certain things matter and certain things don't matter. And so there's, it's what's I think you try to focus more on what's important, and again, kind of living each day like you've got only so many left. And the things that not getting as upset probably as on the little things that really aren't important, and so letting that stuff go and focusing on you still have the urgency of it everyday tasks and things like that that's always a battle to focus on the important, because there's just a tidal wave of the little things that need to be done. And but yeah, I think discerning between what's important and what's really unimportant, it's given me a new perspective, and I haven't arrived at that, but I think I've grown a lot through that season.
And just to kind of wrap it up, I love to see the smile on your face every so often, and I marvel at your strength. And I'm wondering what's it like now. You've got your kids, you've got your business, you've got your life, and your life moves on. And I know part of your purpose is to live a good life. And are you okay, Nate? I just want everybody to know that you're all right.
I'm okay. I'm great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Nate, if someone wanted to reach out to you, and I just, this whole show is meant to help people. And I know that's what you're meant to do too. And that's why I didn't mind, after a little bit of time, inviting you to see if you would be interested in sharing that story. I think it's important to people to hear. I think that last message about knowing what's important and letting go of the little things is something most of us just can never experience. And so I really thank you for sharing that. I hope that perhaps you've inspired some folks. And if you have, and if someone wants to talk to you about, their own life and ways that you can impact them, either in the insurance world or if they just want to talk to you, how would they reach out to you?
Sure. Yeah. Phone and email. Would that be good?
Sure. Yeah.
So we reached it.
Email's fine, Nate. Email's fine.
Email. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So my email is nshultz at Spreng, which is like spring with an E instead of an I, SPRENG,
right.
Smith, SMITH.com.
Very good. Nate Shultz, managing partner with Spreng Smith Insurance. I can't thank him enough for sharing his story. I'm glad he's able to share his story. I'm sorry that he has to share the story, but it's part of life and it's part of the storms. And Nate, you have weathered them like no other that I know. And God bless you for that. And I wish you so much great, amazing time in what's the rest of our lives together. So thank you for being a guest on Purpose Under Pressure.
Thanks, Brian.
Folks, that's the show, and we do it once every week. And they're not always that stormy, but they're always filled with purpose, and they're always filled with pressure. And so this show is brought to you by Sandler Sales Training and the Ruby Group. And if you'd like to visit the Ruby Group, Sandler.com, please do. You're going to find all more information about how you can add purpose to your sales efforts with the Ruby Group. Check out BrianMediaStrategies.com for more Purpose Under Pressure episodes. And if you want to talk to me about anything at all, you can find me there too. This is Purpose Under Pressure. I'm Brian Leffelock, and we'll turn it up again next week. See you then.